Nigel's going to fill us up with a whole lot of information that he wanted to tell us earlier on the year, but annual plan got in the way. So it's good that you're here.
Yes. Brilliant. So I thought in terms of, I would just table the report as read and then go through and just a few highlights and then take questions as we need to. Noting that this report's from the 1st of July to the 31st of March, so it's not the full 12 months, but it was at the time when we were going to do the report, and rather than do another one, I've just kept it as is.
Yeah, no worries.
So flicking through, I guess the key thing, this is an overview of the recreation and sport facilities, programs and activities that we deliver, community events, funding opportunities, and a lot of the advice and advocacy and capacity building that we do. Overarching in terms of the results from a participation perspective have been significant, ahead of plan. So in terms of working our way through, whether it's in the swimming pools and the fitness centres, I'm not sure what's happened with this PDF because mine doesn't look like that. That doesn't got a PowerPoint, but we're ahead of target and tracking well ahead.
Good.
There's an art participation.
Yeah, so I don't know what's happened in terms of the whole thing is.
Look, we've got it in front of us.
Yeah,
It's fun and working.
You actually think about it.
It's for the dyslexics.
It's like
So I guess the hero's been in terms of their fitness centres as we go through. So they've been nearly 22% ahead of target. And I guess that's part of the combination of the team really focusing on that 4-week induction and how people get programs and how we make sure we treat them when they first turn up. And you would have remembered that we started to talk through price and elasticity as the key point for us. So we've probably got more people coming through because the price isn't a barrier as much for participation. So we're starting to find that sweet spot with getting more revenue because the price has stayed lower than we keep going up. So we'll keep working our way through that. But I do note with pedicure coming on board, there's still some risk there because we need to get people more often and new participations rather than just people moving from one facility to another. So there's still some risk as we go through with our participations and our revenue targets. And while we've modelled as much as we can and we've tracked when we open Taiora, when we open Te Toitoi, when we open Makatiki, we think we're okay, but in terms of it will be improvement when we actually open things. The other stuff I probably wanted to highlight was that swim education in terms of still going fantastic for us. So 133 participations from the school swimming program. So that's in terms of schools that come during the week to deliver, to get swim lessons delivered to them. And that's in partnership with Sport Canterbury, Rata Funding and Water Safety New Zealand, where they offset some of the transport costs for those schools. So what we do is we provide that subsidy to the schools and they can choose whether they spend it on transport or whether they spend it on subsidising the lesson price. They're trying to be more flexible for those schools. So that continues to be a win for us. We work right through.
So is that the 2713?
That's the 99,555 that scrambled over that page. So this is March. So I guess I'm kind of talking end of year results. The other stuff that's great through that is we had.
Oh, there's the other slide, yeah.
We're well ahead of swim education in general. So in terms of the programs that we deliver ourselves. Let's see that.
That's a huge number of swimming lessons. And this is at what period?
So that period in terms of that's through till the end of March. Yeah. So the full year results about 850,000 people that have come to swimming, not people, but participations in swimming lessons over that swimming month. Yeah.
That's because they're so good.
It's pretty good. Well, yeah, the testimony to that. Come.
It's not on people's choice free swim pools.
So we keep working our way through that. And the other one I did want to highlight, while that's a lot of participation stuff, I think we jump to page 18 in the report. Or, yeah, 18 is where we've tried to record through this some of the stories that we have. So it's very, very easy to talk about numbers, but what we've tried to put is some snapshots in there to talk about the partnerships that we've had with different organisations to help them do better. So one of the ones is the housing on Kāinga Ora initiative in terms of supporting those in social housing. How do we get them back and using our facilities and providing classes and working our way through that. And likewise with Kapahaka, trying to make sure you get the whole planet to come and get Kapahaka fit. So there's a lot of initiatives we've done with that space. And I think the final one is just He Puna Time Moana continues to go strong. So full year results is 142,000 participation. When we first started that, we thought that we'd be lucky to get 100,000 participation. So done a really good job of trying to squeeze extra sessions into that hot book. So that kind of the result of the change in resource consent we made last year to allow us to operate later and earlier in the morning for those special sessions over and above the one that are publicly available. And then just to recognise our people, we do have 2 team members through the last year. So a young man, Harry Roberts, who runs the swim education program at Matatiki, in turn was awarded the Recreation Aotearoa Emerging Leader Award, which was fantastic for him, and he was absolutely blown away. And then at the same thing, Ben Rosker received the Paul Stewart Memorial Award for excellence in facilities management. So 2 people have been recognised externally, and it's just a snapshot of those 2. So I just wanted to highlight that. But we do have good people that are recognised by the sector, that speak at conferences, are recognised through awards, and sit on committee advisory groups.
I think just touch on a little bit of event stuff, because I think there's real confusion between purchase and everything and what we do.
Yes. So event funding, in terms of, we're focused on delivery of community events. So in terms of a large part of that is the events and festivals fund that we bring to you that you make decisions on. So that's that $521,000 that's allocated on an annual basis. So in terms of as we worked our way through that, that's a bit of a snapshot of the events that we have funded through that. At the same time, through the event process, we support organisations with the delivery and planning for their events. So that's through the event permit process that we have. So the teams work through to go, how do we work with organisations to make sure they have permits, but at the same time provide them resources to help deliver an event that we know is going to be safe, it's going to be good quality. A range of different work we do in that space. And I guess that's just a bit of a breakdown there as the funding allocation was between community events, creative culture, multicultural sport and commercial. So when that team brings you the recommendations, it's a snapshot of trying to balance out the different time of the year and the different types of events we support. And then what we also have is, from a sporting perspective, we do work quite hard attracting events to the city. So Special Olympics is one of those key ones for the opening of Patakuri. So in terms of our team internally, went through and made that bid to try and attract that event to our city. And I guess that's not about cash, but it's about value and kind of support we can do to get them here. And I guess that's an important part of utilising our facilities to make sure that they are built and inspire people to come in and be active. Is that enough of a summary, or can I answer questions on the stuff? That's kind of the overview. I mean, there's lots we can talk about, but okay.
Just a quick question for me while you're on Parakuri. How are you getting on with your staff recruitment?
Going great. In terms of, I think I sent through a response to a question a while ago. I think we had circa 600 applications for 63 jobs. So in terms of, there's no shortage of people that are applying for jobs at Patakuri. I guess that was one of the initial concerns we did have around it. But in terms of, I think it's linked to the success of UC and Lincoln University. We've got a number of people that are applying for jobs. We're pretty happy with how we're tracking now and the quality of the staff that we're attracting. There's also people picking up supervisor or team leader roles that are applying from around the country, so they're coming to Christchurch to work at Patakuri as well.
Have you got much more to go? Yeah. Okay. So we'll go on the questions if you're happy. Aaron's first, then Vic.
So two quick ones. First up is on the Learn to Swim. What are we doing in the adult space, especially around immigrants? Do we have a strong program? So I noticed statistically, Canterbury people don't drown. Our numbers are extremely low, but in Auckland and other areas, it's a high percentage of immigrant people. And if you look globally at swim skill levels, people don't drown here because New Zealanders can swim. It's only second only to Australians, and then it drops off, and some of our big immigrant countries don't swim much at all. So are we working with them? So let's go fishing, and that's the danger zone and stuff like that. So have we got targeted programs for those people?
Yes, is the short answer.
Right.
So in terms of, in this report, I talked about where they work with the recent immigrants from Nepal, in terms of at Matatiki, to have some specific lessons for them with a tutor, right, that can speak, at least a tutor through that. So they do have targeted programs where we work with different groups, and that's because that's part of the importance of the women's only sessions.
Yep.
Where you can make some of those groups feel more comfortable as they come through. So we continue to deliver those ourselves and facilitate others to deliver them too.
So maybe if we could get another newsline story on one of those programs and the success of it, because hopefully some of the other communities might step up and go, actually, can we get one for our one, and can we get so on and so forth, because the more prepared, the less tragedies we have. And then the other one is, so the purpose of the New Brighton Hot Pools was to attract people and tourists to New Brighton. That was the case for it. So the money was put in. It was never meant to make money. It's made money. So if you were to ever sell it, then talking to someone like Ngāi Tourism, because it'll be good to see if would that bring more tourists to New Brighton if there was a different operator versus just selling it to get some money. That's not really the purpose. The purpose of the pool was to bring tourists. It gets a lot of locals, but not a lot of tourists. So have we looked at anything that might either us not owning it or us partnering with someone else or whatever to bring more tourists to Brighton?
Yeah, that was part of the conversation initially about how we could get other commercial investment into New Brighton, and the Hot Pools was one of those that could be sold to go with that. So I was complementing that. What we are doing now that we've moved forward on that as well is we are working with cruise ship companies and other tourist operators to pre-sell people that come to the Hot Pools. So we've had to do a slightly different offering at the back end of the website so that they can pre-sell and send them through that. The only thing is as you work through that, it's a different price point. Where you sign.
So have we started that program? And how's that looking?
It's good. It's looking pretty positive at the moment. We've been through trade shows. What they've told us that they sell 2 to 3 years out, so it's not immediate. They're selling well in advance of the tours they've got coming. So we've set ourselves up and we're working through that now. But all indications are that people think it's going to be great. We just need to continue to work through that price point. We'll be selling things 2 to 3 years in advance, kind of crystal ball on what that fee is going to be relative to what our other prices are that are set annually.
Thank you. Eric, please.
Thank you. I'll have a crack at this question. We may need to go somewhere else. I'm looking at the event funding and particularly with the spotlight on the sport aspects. We had a session earlier today in relation to the local government amendment bill, and we're aware that recreation and sport is core activity in terms of our infrastructure. Do you anticipate that funding events is likely to be a core aspect of our job going forward? Or is this an area that is at risk of being cut out? Any idea?
I think I have my personal opinion on that, but I think that's an organisation.
Might be something to have a look at, because it didn't come up this morning.
I mean, I think it in terms of if you want people to be healthier, happier and all that, then it's a core part of people being
I know
part of
that
it.
the well-being's a bit cut. So it would be interesting to understand the funding aspect of that going forward when we know that they're really essential. It'd be good if that can be captured in the.
And it's no recreation facilities.
No.
Today, and the recreation facilities are listed in the fine.
Yeah, I know the recreational facilities are. My issue is the events, whether that would be captured under it. And I wonder whether that can go back to the organisation
Economic
to the
development.
work that we were doing this morning to see if we can get some thought on that particular aspect.
Yeah, but even that's Sarah.
So returning back to what you've got here, I'd like to see the uplift in participation. Queries about the variance and the long-term trends. Is this the extension of a trend and upward, or is this an outlier of an upward lift? I'm just keen to understand, because we're only looking at one snapshot of it. So I'm keen to understand how we've been trending.
Yeah. So in terms of from a Christchurch perspective, we are trending back to pre-quake levels with participation per resident. So I think pre-quake was about 7.9. In terms of when we started doing the aquatics modelling, it was about 5.2. So we're trending back towards that. So we are trending very well for Christchurch. I think when we make comparisons nationally, in terms of we're ahead of the rest of the country in terms of how people are being active in our city. So
that's significant. So we've got back to where we were previously, but
we need to
I was trying
continue to trend through that as paddock opens.
Yeah.
We need to continue that momentum.
I guess that maybe you're asking, can we see a trend diagram in the next?
No, I wasn't actually. I was just curious to see where this looks in terms of the historical trends and whether we're still on the same trajectory. Yeah, I suppose so. So
we are. We can. That's a general comment, because I think if we break it down to swim education or fitness centres or different sports, that the youth facilities, they've all got slightly different mechanisms. So in terms of, we know that the fitness industry has changed significantly over the last 5 years. So really happy that our membership is where we're at, because there's a lot of low cost entry level, which is fantastic. But in terms of, we haven't followed that suit. We've tried to make sure that we're part of a trip. So when you come to a facility, you might go there for a swim as well, or on the way to the supermarket. It's not the in and out 24/7, which a lot of people are pushing at the time.
We're ahead of where we were modelling.
Yeah.
So does this mean now that you will adjust your models going forward and coming into the next annual plan?
Yes, we've adjusted it for the last 2 years, so we can keep working our way through. So increasing our revenue targets, doing that.
Keep it moving. Sneak it out. It's like out on the next one.
So we'll keep going through, but that's the risk in terms of we just don't know what's going to happen with paddock curriculum. So we want to make sure we're pretty conservative around that.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, mine was just on the Spence Beach Holiday Park. How's that progressing? You know?
The repairs?
Yep,
Because you're in the room.
the repairs going well. It's going to be quite a special place.
Yeah.
And the aim is to have it open on December 23rd rather than pushing.
Wow.
So that the summer can be able to make the most of it.
Awesome. That's great.
So this is the fire that burnt down the amenity blocks at Spencer Park, that we've got a temporary one, but we're trying to rebuild to get back to it.
And they would have been a little bit aged anyway.
Yeah, that's
Great, thank you.
Sarah?
I guess two things. The first of all, on the event bidding, the group that's doing the overall event bidding for the city.
Yeah.
Now that Te Kaha is kind of almost ready, is some of the stuff you're looking at for there, or you're just keeping the funding that we've got separate from Te Kaha now the VO so that they can do the bids for Te Kaha?
This report's focused on the community in terms of bidding stuff.
Yeah.
As we go through to the city partners group for the major events through Christchurch VO, they're still taking an overarching view of how they're going to bid for events and what that looks like.
Yeah. So that's the partners group, the funding that we put into there.
Yep.
Some of it may go to bid for things.
And it may be required as we go through, but I think the statement will be up the stages that they do not require that money, but if it's required, when we did the plan in the long term, then if there was an amount that was allocated part of their previous business case to contract fees.
Yeah. And so, yeah, kind of, because we've got that.
Yeah.
The other one is, there's lots of amazing stuff in here. And you were here for the earlier report from Park. What's not in this at a governance level, the things that aren't quite working?
Yep.
If that makes sense. So wake at night, what isn't working quite so well, what needs tweaking, those kind of reporting mechanisms.
Yep.
So there's a really great overview of the things that we're doing well. What's not quite working well? What are you working on to improve?
Yeah, I mean,
What keeps you awake?
that stuff's kind of covered in a lot of the stuff that goes to Audit and Risk Committee. I mean, still, one of the things we do have is the staff wellbeing and safety at the frontline services.
Yeah.
So the abuse, threat, behaviour that goes through, that's continuing in terms of while we've got mechanisms and we have trespassed and excluded more people than we ever have and training our staff working right through. That's probably still the biggest concern we have. And that's driven by the fact we have circa 6 million participations through those buildings. So you can have lots of people, lots of interactions, and you never know what's going on with people in their own lives. So that's probably the biggest headache that was not going to go away, but certainly making sure our staff are safe and that work.
Okay. It would be useful to have that kind of stuff in here because
Into the template, because
Yeah.
once them come through, you would have noticed that one and the issue on Putty Good, they have come through the issues before. It goes to, and then now it's going to come to
Yeah.
council, but you want to live in the
so
template.
let's do stuff with me. So we get a good overview of each area as it goes through. Yeah. I mean, are there any things in here where we're not, meeting expectations for the lack of funding?
So I can no surprises.
No, I mean,
There's
this,
nothing getting stuff in the XP report. It's not kind of a holistic approach that we're getting here.
yeah, I mean, the things that will come out in the year reporting is, I mean, our cost ratios haven't quite hit the mark. So cost per visit, cost per resident.
Yeah.
So we'll provide some reporting around that, but that's difficult when we've met our revenue or our target, our budget targets, we've exceeded our participations. It's just the way that we set them up at the start of the year. It's not quite right. So that's the stuff
Okay.
missed.
We need to
Yeah.
make sure we add it to the template, all of them.
Yeah.
Forward.
So just be that holistic picture of each area.
Okay, Yanni, please.
Yeah, thank you for the update. Just in regards to the events, is there any work underway? I look at like Moonlight, for example, around sustainability and waste. Like, are we measuring the impact in terms of the environmental impact?
Yes, we measure to all the events that are under contract of venues have to have a sustainability element. And you might recall, I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago, we had the sustainability officer within Record Sport, which started to make sure that all events were using combustible to the plate, knives, forks, sustainability. They all had that agenda to work with. So we do measure the waste that comes from each event and in terms of set targets with them.
But it's saying, like, you know, if you look at the shows, all the different events that these guys do, all the waste that's generated from the plastic always seems sold of the stuff that's like, is anyone doing an assessment about?
It's not your own side, we are the people's events.
Yeah, well, I mean, these are events where we do partnerships with the company because they do them very cost effective. But they're often, you know, there's often some issues that come up around signage, for example, which are previously raised. So I guess I'm just really interested in that events permission space, what we're doing around that.
We have
they're popular events and people really like them, but I'm also mindful that there could be a lot of waste that's been generated from them as well.
So we have a baseline that we hold them accountable for. We haven't done absolutely everything that goes across the board for an event that's delivered. I mean, that would take a fair chunk of time, and the event organisers may not agree with it. So it just means it's difficult and we haven't got there.
And then the other thing I was going to ask is, in terms of our fitness and our aquatic facilities, when we come to a midlife recycle or a midlife cycle refurb, do we have any process to check in with the people that are using the facilities about what's missing or what might be done as an improvement?
We do. So as we go through that, we have a 3-year shutdown for each facility, which is just for planned maintenance. And then as part of that, every third one, so every 9 years is a retheme. And part of that retheme is the discussion with the community about what that would look like. Of course, that's changing toys out, changing other things, what that looks like. Adding new items, like a sauna steam, that's a different kettle of fish again. That's built in through the LTP, so we're very careful about how to do that.
Can I just mindful, like in London, for example, there's been community requests for more to be done. And I'm just wondering how we at a governance level have input into that in terms of our budgets. Do we just raise it through LTP annual plan, or is there another mechanism to survey users about, you know, what they might like, and then the process to take that into account?
There's 2 parts to that. We've been pretty consistent as we've rebuilt the network of facilities to go, let us finish the network to see what the network operates right within the individual facilities. So we'll continue that line and if the category is open. And I guess through that, if there is a request for more activities, and that is an LTP bid, and certainly we can gather information. If we ask people would they like more, generally they say yes. So it's just being specific about what that looks like, and it's what's the base level that we provide, knowing that we can get people to different facilities. And that's why when we've designed, we've tried to put different elements in different facilities that people don't have to cookie cutter on each of that, but they can travel around to do slightly different things.
If it's an annual plan to be built into the land, like was your move to swim, your
yes.
it's been up your reducing classes, it's been more targeted. What about our social community targeted? So
yes,
councils have put things up that then you built into your program.
We like with Linwood, I mean, you guys know the story, the $1 million that got saved went to Hornby. There was never a discussion with the people in Linwood about where that investment could have went to meet the things that they wanted that weren't done as part of it. But anyway, good. Sort of.
We're going to use that.
Okay, right. Tyler, you out there in Cyberland.
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Roger?
Hey, Nigel, I've just got a question around the booking platform. I'm wondering how that's tracking on at the moment.
Good.
When is it due to be live?
No, it's good in terms of the back-end system that the sports can use to book and look after their events, and the smartness around that about when we're allocating different courts at Padicura, give the one closest to the door rather than one in the middle, so we can do that. So that has been rolled out. The portal is due to be rolled out, I think, at the start of August as we work our way through. So that's the one that we're publicly available for people to go online, book the sport, book the space if they see fit. So we're pretty comfortable with it in terms of, and it's going to be a game changer for the people that use the facilities and also for the contact centre. So we're pretty happy
That's awesome. So the platform for the customer to come in, book in will be live start of August.
Yes.
That's awesome, man. Thanks so much for that.
And last week, Gary was talking about waste and stuff like that. We'll all remember back to when we all got in a bit of strife about, I think it was at an international cricket event, there was rubbish everywhere and no one was looking after it. But I have been down, when I went to Electric Air, there was dozens of people working there, filling up all those skips. It was right on top of it. So that's very good. And also, when I went to Paracuria, one thing that is very interesting is that we're making our own chlorine there to take round to other pools, so buying it from outside.
We are doing that, and because technology has moved on from when we first did that,
Yes.
we're also installing chlorine plants, so we don't have to drive around everywhere. It can be produced on site, so it saves that extra vehicle travel as we go through. So looking to adjust the technology as it comes through.
So a
So
lot of talk going into it. So I think it's good. So thank you very much for your report.
Just sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
I just wanted to acknowledge the staff in the event space. I've had the privilege of attending some of those events on behalf of the Mayor and Council, and the event staff, there'll be feedback in the report. But the Touch champs, for example, Touch NZ, we so impressed Touch Australia for the way that our staff have really worked with them on those local events. So I guess just to request the staff, if there's anything that we can do to help in that space with some of the event attraction, that would be good to know. There's a chance, for example, to Touch World Champs in 2028, for example. But just wanted to acknowledge what the staff do, because there's a lot of help that I get when I go to those events and way much staff help, very well as well.
Very good. Hey guys, thanks very much. Thank you, Don.